Good morning.
Good morning.
What a beautiful morning this morning. I hope we all get a chance to enjoy the sunshine. Welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, for this time we here are one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. Please rise, embody your spirit to join in singing our musical call to worship, Wo Ya Ya, hymn number 1020 in our teal hymnal. This song was written by Ghanaian drummer Sol Emerifo of the group Oisibia in the early 1970s. It was frequently heard in work camps throughout West Africa in the 70s and 80s. Wo Ya Ya can have many meanings. According to the song's composer, it means, "We are going." The words will appear on the screen.
How we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Wa-ya-ya. Wa-ya-ya, wa-ya-ya, we are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Wa-ya-ya, 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 wa-ya-ya-ya-ya, 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 wa-ya-ya-ya-ya. Wa-ya-ya-ya-ya-ya.
That was fun. My name is Josh Sellers, not Avid Dattenborough this morning. I use he, him pronouns, and today I'm wearing a button-up seafoam green shirt. I have short brown hair with a very slapdash smattering of blonde patches in it. Our guest speaker this morning is Joseph Bednarik, a frequent and beloved speaker here at KUUF. Joseph is a retired co-publisher of Canyon Press. He lives in Port Townsend. We strive to be an inclusive community. If you're visiting this morning, please participate as you feel comfortable. You're also invited to stay and meet people during coffee hour. If you're attending online today, you're welcome to introduce yourself in the chat. I'd like to call your attention to today's after the service events listed in the insert in your order of service. We have an announcement about a meeting right after service today. The starting point for newcomers and long-timers will meet here in the sanctuary at 12 o'clock. Bring your coffee, your goodies, and join us for a wide-ranging inquiry into our basic questions and beliefs about life and death and spirituality. There are two other announcements. The grief group will be meeting in the Elmore room at 11:45 after service. And Lisa and myself and many others are very proud of what we are offering at the farmers market today in the Breezeway. There is parsley and sage and Swiss chard and handmade Mother's Day cards, which is next Sunday, for those of you who are apt to forget, like myself. So make sure to enjoy in that abundance on the Breezeway after service. For more announcements about Kitsap UU Fellowship activities, please see our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. Now, let's take a moment to silence any electronic devices that you don't need to be monitoring for our time together. And please join me in taking a few centering breaths. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. This morning's opening words are from Albert Einstein. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. We welcome Karina Grunwald to light our chalice this morning. Karina started attending KUUF in the first week of January. She's on the Social Justice Committee, Welcoming and Membership, and the Finance Committee, and attends Chalice Circle number 5. She is helping with Nancy Joe's Garden and the Farmers Market. She says before she came to KUUF and found her tribe, she believed she preferred the company of dogs to humans. Now it's a tie. And we light the chalice this morning with these words from Octavia Butler. There is nothing new under the sun, but there are new suns. Please join me in the spoken affirmation. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We value diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Please rise in body or in spirit to join in singing hymn number 301, Touch the Earth, Reach the Sky, in the gray hymnal.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores while spirits fly over the
Good morning. My name is Melinda Hughes, and I'm the Director of Lifespan Faith Formation. Today I am wearing a dark blue tank with little white birds on it. I have strawberry blonde hair, and I'm wearing chunky black glasses. It is the first Sunday of a new month, which means a new theme. The theme this month is Awakening Curiosity. In the children's program this month, they're going to be exploring how curiosity can be a bridge to other worlds, to what isn't yet but could be, and how it can be the spark that nudges us to ask questions, imagine new possibilities, and connect with the world in ways we might not have considered before. Curiosity, after all, can be a bridge to new ideas, new experiences, and even new ways of seeing ourselves and others. This week, the children will be exploring a bridge to a more just world. And with that in mind, I share with you today's story. A is for activist. A is for activist. B is for banner, bobbing in the sky, billowing in the breeze, 'cause you're not shy. C is for co-op, cooperating cultures, creative counter to corporate ventures. Oh, and cats. Can you find the cats? Little d, democracy. More than voting, you'll agree. Dictators detest it. Donkeys don't get it. But you and me, we demand equality. Equal rights. Black, brown, or white. Clean and healthy is a right. Every place we live and play, environmental justice is the way. F is for feminism, for feminist, for fairness in pay, for freedom to flourish and choose our own way. G is for grassroots, sprouting from below, sharing nutrients and the water's flow. Below the surface, we're all connected. Stronger together we grow. H is for healthy food, a human right. Honeydew, jicama, nature's delight. Hummus, hot dogs, Havarti cheese, hot dogs. Yes, healthy hot dogs, please. And pizza. Indigenous and immigrant, together we stand tall. Our histories are relevant. An injury to one is an injury to all. J is for justice. Yay for justice. Jajing Jiang, Juanita, Jamal, justice for the janitors, justicas for all. Kings are fine for story time. Knights are fun to play. But when we make decisions, we will choose the people's way. LGBTQ, love who you choose, 'cause love is true. Liberate your notions of limited emotions. Celebrate with pride our links of devotion. Megaphones marching, movimento music, hip hip hooray, it must be May Day. N is for no. No, no, no. Yes to what we want. No to what must go. No, no, no. Open minds operate best. Critical thinking over tests. Wisdom can't be memorized. Educate, agitate, organize. P, peace march. Protest. Pow, power to the people. Yeah. Q is for question. Questioning coercion. Querying qualities counter false assertions. Radical Reds, the headline said. Ruinous rioters, the rumor spread. Rabble-rousing riffraff? Really? S is for sun, soul, solar, superstar, stellar power. Fuels all life, not just flowers. energized homes, cars, and showers. Silly, selfish scoundrels sucking on dinosaur sludge? Boo, hiss. T is for trans, for trains, tiaras, tulips, tractors, and tigers too. Trust in the true, the he, she, they, that is you. U is for weekends. U is for workers' rights. Wait, that's not U, that's W. U is for union. Union, yes. V is for Vox. What? Did you say Fox? No, I said Vox. Did you say box? No, Vox. Rocks? Socks? Blocks? Vox. Vox of the people, voice of the populi. Better go see the letter D. Wondrous world, wondrous we. We cannot be whole, we cannot be free unless we delight in diversity. X is for Malcolm, as in Malcolm X. History lessons can be complex. Remember Parks, remember King, remember Malcolm, and let freedom ring. Y is for you and youth, your planet, your rights, your future, your truth. Y is for yes, 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 yes. Z is for Zapatista, of course. With the children focusing today on curiosity to build a more just world, I leave you with this quote by Philo Thoughts. Justice does not collapse all at once. It erodes when questions are discouraged, when complexity is treated as weakness, and when certainty replaces curiosity. I hope for you a week of curiosity.
Thank you, Melinda. Thank you, Melinda. As a religious community together, we can do the work of many. By sharing in the sacred act of giving, we transform gratitude into generosity towards our mission. One way that our mission inspires us to act on our shared UU values is to share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of May is Kitsap Immigration Assistance Center. KUUF is committed to the well-being of immigrants and the development of a rich, multicultural community. It works to empower, educate, and integrate immigrants through advocacy and social justice. KUUF is a tiny, underfunded organization trying to meet a huge need. If you would like your offering to go to this month's charitable giving recipient, Kitsap Immigration Assistance Center, please use the envelope from inside your order of service. If you need an envelope, please raise your hand and the ushers will bring you one. If you'd like your offering to go to KUUF, please put it directly in the basket. Instructions on way to make your gift, including a QR code, will appear on the screen. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our beloved community with a gift of music from music coordinator Brian Kinney and James Haynes Timmons. Blue Bossa by Kenny Dorham. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, James. Please rise in body or in spirit to join me in singing our children up to their classes. The words, "May you go with joy," will appear on the screens. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened. We have several joys to share this morning. The first is from Chris and Robert Ambergy. Their joy is for Amelia Demick and her enthusiasm with performing in Shrek the Musical. And similarly, Diana Blair's joy is, Diana is over the moon that she got to see her son in his first onstage role in his high school musical, Legally Blonde. Ed has two joys this morning. First, my annual spring guests, a pair of mated Canadian geese, are closely monitoring their 7 new goslings. And his second joy is for our leadership at KUUF. Thanks for working to fix the bathrooms and make this space more inclusive. Amen. Amen indeed. Diana Turney Eddy's joy is the junco birds who've built a nest in the mum foliage in the planter on my deck rail, and they're 2 insistent baby birds. And finally, we have a joy from Bonner. Bonner's joy is for World Labyrinth Day yesterday. He walked 2 labyrinths and then decorated his sun hat with flowers at a Beltane ritual. Bonner, do you want to show us your hat? Hooray! We can celebrate that. That gets my applause. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share. Please join me in a moment of prayer. In the spirit of community, in which we find strength and common purpose, we share our joys and sorrows, our hopes and dreams. We have turned our minds and hearts toward one another in trust, giving love, seeking comfort, and celebrating together. We are a part of the web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. In all the moments of our lives, for those loved ones and events shared this morning, and for those we yet hold in silence in our hearts, we are truly grateful for the love and support of this beloved community. May the spirit of life and love bring peace to us all. Amen and blessed be. Please remain seated as we sing hymn number 123, Spirit of Life.
Stories of compassion, flow in
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Bednarik. I use he, him pronouns. I wear glasses. I have a white beard, and I'm wearing a charcoal gray coat. This morning's reading is by the Czech poet Miroslav Holub. And it's interesting, Holub's biography, he was a hardcore scientist, an immunologist, and also a poet. So he was able to live in those particular worlds. And this is his poem entitled Love. 2,000 cigarettes, 100 miles from wall to wall, an eternity and a half of vigils blanker than snow. Tons of words, old as the tracks of a platypus in the sand. 100 books we didn't write. 100 pyramids we didn't build. Sweepings, dust, bitter as the beginning of the world. Believe me when I say it was beautiful. Now please enter a time of silent meditation.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination.
We'll begin with a spin, traveling in a world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
If you want to view paradise, simply turn around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you will free if you truly
How many here felt the spirit of Willy Wonka in the room? Thank you very much. That was by request. Thank you very much for making that happen. You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of imagination. There's a signpost up ahead. The next stop, the Twilight Zone. I've always wanted to do that. And I was so tempted to use a real cigarette, which would likely have been the first and last cigarette ever smoldering in this sanctuary. The Twilight Zone has been part of my idiosyncratic sources of wisdom and intellectual provocation since I was in grammar school. I never, quote unquote, saw a new episode broadcast nationwide for the first time because when the last show aired in 1964, I was still floating around in that other twilight zone of amniotic fluid. And my mother never watched the show because that sort of program is definitely not her thing, while my dad would not miss an episode. So while I would like to imagine that I heard that opening refrain and that iconic music and that narrator's voice in utero, I actually heard it when I was old enough to stay up late on Fridays and Saturday nights and watch all that weird and wacky and wonderful television that airs late at night, such as Monty Python's Flying Circus. Don't you remember being 10, just kind of staring at the TV like, what is going on? You knew something was happening, you just didn't know what. Saturday Night Live, preferably with the original cast, The New Adventures of Charlie Chan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And please remember that this was in the days before VCRs and the internet, so actually catching something on TV was a matter of what the television overlords deigned for you to see. And for me, encountering the Twilight Zone, or TZ for short, love at first sight, love at second sight, love at third and fourth and fifth and sixth sight. Not that I particularly liked fantasy or science fiction, but each show was a new story with new characters, and I loved how the program played with ideas, how it turned the world on its head, and it forced me to think that there was more to life than meets the eye, or the heart, or the brain. And so for those of you who need a quick briefing, the Twilight Zone was the brainchild of a very successful television writer named Rod Serling. I actually once visited Rod Serling's grave, and I actually, don't tell anybody, I laid on the grave and took a picture of the sky above me. Now, Serling served as a paratrooper during World War II, and he turned 20 years old while fighting in the jungles of the Philippines. When he returned home to Binghamton, New York, with a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart, he brought with him a textbook case of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and eventually turned to writing because, as Serling said, I needed to get it out of my gut, to write it down. And he suffered symptoms of PTSD for the rest of his life. In the 1950s, considered the golden age of television, Serling won Emmy Awards and Peabody Awards as the author of live television plays, 90-minute live television plays. And although he was the golden boy in the golden age, he became increasingly frustrated at the intense control that the sponsors wielded over his productions. For example, In one program, the Chrysler Building was painted out of the New York City skyline because the sponsor was the Ford Motor Company. Now, more egregious examples followed, and when Serling wrote a television play exploring racism based on the murder of Emmett Till, the script was changed so dramatically that Serling was quoted as saying, quote, "They chopped it up like a room full of butchers working at a steer." And as one of the last straws, he wrote a script based on the United States Senate. And the sponsors forced so many changes that Serling said he was, quote, "not permitted to have my senators discuss any current or pressing problems." And then he went on to say, "In retrospect, it would have been a much more adult play had I made it science fiction and put it in the year 2057 and peopled the Senate with robots." Bing! And that's essentially what happened. Serling pivoted to fantasy and to science fiction, and he found himself writing in a genre that provided ample and almost unfettered room for creativity, imagination, and exploration. And for the most part, those scripts could slip past the sponsor's concerns because the stories were the realm of fantasy. And while writing and producing in those genres, Serling's genius went from light bulb to solar flare. And here in a Unitarian Universalist sanctuary, it should come as no surprise that Rod Serling was a Unitarian. You know, bristling at interference, wanting to think his own thoughts, eager to explore meaningful social issues, and trying to make the world a better place. There are a lot of UUs who love to claim people like Thomas Jefferson or Emerson, Thoreau. I claim Serling. It's like, Serling is my guy. He was born into a Reformed Jewish family that rarely attended synagogue. Serling became a member of Unitarian congregations in Ohio, where he went to college and he began his professional life, and then in California, where he eventually moved. The minister at his UU fellowship in California remarked, quote, theologically speaking, Rod was what we call a naturalistic humanist. So a Unitarian suffering from PTSD with a drive to explore adult themes and pressing social issues is the creative force behind a weekly television drama in which millions of viewers, week in and week out, were given the opportunity to think and to feel and to wonder deeply. And then, at the water cooler the next day, these millions of people would recap and puzzle, marvel, and discuss what a service this person provided, and all the while be entertained and enthralled with adult themes, respectfully treated, with good writing, innovative direction, exquisite cinematography, excellent acting, special effects, sometimes quite primitive by today's computer-generated standards, to produce a television show that was showing everyone what television could actually do. And as Nicholas Parisi writes in his definitive book on Serling, quote, if the Twilight Zone were merely a collection of bizarre stories with surprise endings, it would be long forgotten. It remains a touchstone of popular culture because its stories are as relevant today as when they first aired, its characters as recognizable and relatable as they ever were. Stories and characters, conflict and resolution, timeless themes, moral quandaries, imagination, and a hero's journey deep into the complications of human life. What is it that poet Muriel Rukeyser says? Quote, the universe is made of stories, not of atoms. And so what is it that the values of Unitarian Universalism say. We draw upon and are inspired by the sacred, secular, and scientific understandings that help us make meaning. I love that phrase, to make meaning, and to live into our values. Just letting you guys know, Unitarian Universalism does not exist. It literally does not exist without you bringing it into existence. The values that this religion give to the world, they don't just burble up like a spring. You have to bring them into the world. Here's another UU value, quote, "We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect." Check, check, check. For me, within my religious framework, the Twilight Zone checks all those boxes, and I am not alone. There was a director of religious education, DRE for short, who developed a curriculum for grades 6 through 8 called the Fifth Dimension, which uses the Twilight Zone as source text. OMG, as the young people say. I would have, or as the atheists would say, I guess it'd be OMNG. Oh my not God. I would have never missed a Sunday school class if we had gathered together to watch the Twilight Zone and then discuss the issues that were raised. And the proposed age range for that curriculum, grades 6 to 8, generally aligns with the time when the Twilight Zone first came onto my scene in my life. And in preparation for this sermon, I was actually gifted the complete curriculum by a DRE, and I took great pleasure in reading through all the lessons. And I took special note of the introductory materials, especially the 4 bullet points illustrating the statement, "This curriculum seeks to help participants, ... consider social issues and the ways in which our faith can help us understand our values. To understand ways in which the right of conscience calls us to do what's right, even if there are possible negative consequences. To examine how our choices affect others around us as well as ourselves. And to explore how taking a stand is related to perspective and point of view." Now, here is a spoiler alert. For illustrative purposes, we are going to discuss one of the episodes that is included in the curriculum, and to do so, there will be a description of the comings and goings of this episode. If you want to keep this a surprise, please plug your ears, hum softly to yourself, like, and then I'll wave when I'm done. All right? Everybody set? Let's pretend we're in Sunday school. And to give that experience an old-timey feel, our teacher wheels in a television set from the 1970s, weighs about as much as an adolescent gorilla, slips a video cassette into a VCR machine wired to the television. Where is the wireless? And up on the screen comes a slightly grainy, slightly wavy, black and white image. Black and white. And then we see a hospital scene and a person's head completely wrapped in gauze. We hear hushed voices of doctors and nurses. We discover that a woman named Tyler has undergone surgery, her 11th surgery and her last surgery, to fix her hideous disfigurement. In conversations out of earshot of the patient, the doctors and the nurses express deep compassion for this woman. One doctor, who is smoking a cigarette in the hospital, wonders, what do you think, nurse? Wonders aloud about this unrelenting drive toward conformity and asks, what is the dimensional difference between beauty and something repellent? Skin deep or less than that? Why shouldn't people allowed to be different be allowed to be different? And Tyler, the patient, does not want to be different. The face under the gauze desperately wants to look like everyone else's face. And in a brilliant stroke of stagecraft, the camera takes on the perspective of Tyler's vision. We are now seeing through Tyler's eyes beneath the bandages and watch layer after layer after layer of bandages being removed. The darkness turns to dim, the dimness turns to light, and the woman covers her face with her hands, as if trying to feel whether the surgery was a success. And when she looks up, oh, yes, we see the operation is a fabulous success. The woman, by any measure, in any universe, is gorgeous. And then, for some profoundly confused reason, we hear gasps. One nurse is so distraught she drops her scissors and they clang harshly on the tile floor. The panicked patient senses that the operation failed, leaps up to flee. She's subdued by the staff, and then we see. Then we see. Now, if you have ever seen this episode of the Twilight Zone, originally called Eye of the Beholder, you likely recall the shocking twist. The faces of the doctors and the nurses have pig-like snouts and large, curved, and protruding lips. By conventional Western standards, they look grotesque and deformed. By conventional Western standards, by human standards, they look, the hideous patient is beautiful. Now, this story is part of a long lineage of stories that explore the issues of human appearance. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, Beauty and the Beast, The Elephant Man, Phantom of the Opera, Cyrano de Bergerac. Now, obviously, the theme extends across time and is endlessly fascinating for us normal-faced mortals. Now, in any listing of the top Twilight Zone episodes of all time, Eye of the Beholder is always in the top 5, and for good reason. Brilliant stagecraft of the episode is you never see the faces of the medical staff until you need to see them. They are literally kept hidden from view through this first part of the show, through shadows, through tightly choreographed blocking movements, through camera angles that never quite show a face from the front. The effect is literally stunning. And because this was the last surgery, Tyler will now be exiled to a colony with others who look like her, where they're all living out their lives. She's brought into a room where another hideous-looking human, who, to our eyes, is a very handsome man, will escort her to this segregated colony. As the couple leaves the hospital, the man says, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder." Now, as for the curriculum, it provides nearly 24 questions for the class to explore. And here are a few of the questions that were asked of these young UUs. And while the curriculum was designed for grades 6 to 8, I think they're absolutely relevant to everyone of all ages. Who makes the determination of what is normal? Where does the pressure come from to fit in, to look, to dress, or to behave in a manner that the society we live in deems acceptable? How much pressure are you under to conform to what is considered normal among your peer group? Why do you think people aren't simply allowed to be different and be accepted? what amazing conversations these questions would catalyze in a room full of teenagers. And it would be my hope that what would emerge in the discussion is a reaffirmation of the grounding principle of Unitarian Universalism, the inherent worth and dignity of each person, human qualities that render the conventional standards of beauty essentially meaningless. Remember, Unitarian Universalism does not exist unless you make it exist. And to provide a close, we bring forward Rod Serling's concluding narration to this episode. Where's my cigarette? Now there it is. All right. Actually, I have 2 cigarettes. Oh, that's great. Now the questions come to mind. Where is this place? And when is it? What kind of world where ugliness is the norm and beauty the deviation from that norm? The answer is, it doesn't make any difference. Because the old saying happens to be true, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, in this year or 100 years hence, on this planet or wherever there is human life, perhaps out there among the stars. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Amen. Hey man, if you got it, you got to use it, right? All right, so our closing hymn is completely dialed into the theme of the service. It is called How Could Anyone? And here is a fun fact about this song. If you ever visit Port Townsend, walking somewhere in Port Townsend is the woman who was the inspiration for this song. So, real person, real song. Closing hymn number 1053, How Could Anyone?
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Our closing words this morning, a beautiful little poem by Antonio Machado. Beyond living and dreaming, what matters most is waking up. And as we bring our service to a close, and as we choose to leave our sanctuary and go make Unitarian Universalism a reality in the world, let us embody the flame and the truth of the light, the warmth of the light, the transformational power of the light. Let us all carry this flame within us throughout the week. Ooh, yeah.